My name is Anaya Raisingani, and I am a developer advocate over here with MongoDB. I am super excited to announce that our Django MongoDB Backend library is now in public preview. This Python package actually enables you to advance your development process by combining Django's rapid development framework with MongoDB's flexible database. Interested in diving into our Django MongoDB Backend integration? Follow along in this tutorial to create a Django application, connect that application to a MongoDB deployment, ensure your deployment is hosted on MongoDB Atlas, and interact with the data stored in your database using simple CRUD operations. Let's quickly go over what Django is for those who have never worked with the framework before. So Django is a high-speed modal view controller framework for building web applications. There are really a ton of key benefits in utilizing Django in your projects, such as rapid development, a variety of services to choose from, amazing security, and impressive scalability. Django prides itself on being the best framework for producing flawless work efficiently. As we'll see throughout this quick start, it's incredibly simple to get up and running using our Django MongoDB Backend integration. In order to be successful in this tutorial, you will need a handful of prereqs. You will need an IDE. This tutorial uses Visual Studio Code. You will need to use Python version 3.10 or later. We recommend using 3.12 in your environment, and you will need a MongoDB Atlas cluster. Once you have all of your prereqs, let's get into it. All right, so let's get ready to dive right into our tutorial. First things first, I want to just make sure that I have a cluster up and running. And as you can see here, I have our sample mflix database already downloaded because that is the database that we are going to be using throughout this tutorial. Another little thing that I want to point out is it's crucial to make sure that when we are using our connection string URI, that you are incorporating the name of the database, which is sample mflix, right here in between the slash and the question mark. So while we're here, go ahead and just copy this connection string and put it somewhere safe and put in your username and your password and the name of your database. Once we have that, we are ready to go ahead and create our virtual environment. So we want to make sure that we are using Python 3.10 or above. So I just want to create a virtual environment to keep everything easy to work with. So bin activate. So once we have the venv next to our directory name in our terminal, that just means that the virtual environment is correctly configured. But let's make sure that our Python version is correct. So once again, we want to be using 3.10 and above. Perfect, we have 3.12, so we're good to go. Once the virtual environment is set up, we can go ahead and we can install our Django integration. All right, to install the Django MongoDB backend, please just run the following command from the terminal. So it's just going to be pip install Django MongoDB backend. When correctly run, we'll be able to see both PyMongo and Django are installed in our environment. Once this step is complete, our integration is correctly downloaded along with all of the dependencies that include Django and PyMongo that are required for success. Now we can go ahead and we can create our Django project. To do this, just go ahead and run this command. It's going to create a new Django project called Quickstart. So this template is about the same as the default Django project template with a couple important changes. It includes MongoDB-specific migrations, and the settings.py file has actually been modified to make sure that Django uses an object ID value for each model's primary key. It also includes MongoDB-specific app configurations for Django apps that have the default auto field set. So this library allows us to create our own apps so we can set our Django MongoDB backend.fields.objectID auto field, which I will show you in a second. So let me go ahead and run this. And once this command is run, it will show up on the left-hand side of the project file. So as we can see, Quickstart is right there. And once you can see this Quickstart project, it is time to update our database settings. To do this, let's go ahead and go to our settings.py file. And now we just want to find the database's setting. So that is, let me make this a little smaller. that is right over here. What we want to do is we want to replace this connection URI with our connection string. Please make sure that it has the correct username, your password, and it also has the name of our sample database. So I am going to quickly go grab that and I'll be right back. But as we can see, I have the name of our sample database right in between the slash and the question mark. So please make sure that you are including that. That is very, very important. So now we can go ahead and we can make sure that we have correctly installed the Django MongoDB backend and that our project is correctly set up. So to do this, let's head over to our Quickstart folder, and then we want to run this command. It's just python manage.py run server. And then we can go ahead and we can follow this link. And at this page, there will be a congratulations and a picture of a rocket. So that is how we know that our setup has been successful. And now that we see this, we can go ahead and create an actual application where we can interact with the sample data that we previously downloaded. So let's go ahead and let's dive right on in. So now we are going to create an application for our sample mflix data. Let's head back to our VS Code and let's do a Control-C to get out of that. So we are first going to create our sample mflix application. Make sure that you are in the root directory of your project, and then go ahead and run this command to create an application based on our custom template. So here, if I show you in our apps.py file, all right, so as you can see here, the Django MongoDB app template, make sure that your apps.py file includes the line right over here, the default auto field, Django MongoDB Backend fields, object ID auto field. So what does this do? This ensures that instead of using the original Django big auto field for IDs, we are using MongoDB's specific object ID feature. Once you have finished creating your project, we are going to move on. So now we are going to create models for our movie, viewer, and award data. To create data models, all we have to do is go ahead and open up our models.py file that is inside of this newly developed sample mflix directory. And then we want to replace all of this code with this code that I am copying and pasting directly from the Quickstart that I will have posted in the description box below. So here it is. Just going to save that. So the movie model here represents our sample mflix movies collection and stores information about various movies. The viewer model, on the other hand, represents the sample mflix users collection and stores important user details for a movie streaming platform. And then the award model represents the embedded document values that are stored inside of the movie model. So once this is done and the models.py file is saved, let's create our views to display our data. So to display data from the sample mflix database, we are going to add views to the views.py file. Open it up from your sample mflix directory and then replace the contents with the code that I am copying and pasting in from our Django Quickstart that will be linked once again in the description box below. Cool, and let's save that. Once we finish this section, we can go on and we can configure URLs for our views. In order to be successful in this section, we need to actually create a new file called urls.py inside of our sample mflix directory. So just create a new file called urls.py. And so this file maps the views that we defined in the previous step to dedicated URLs. So I'm going to copy in a little bit of code, and this code will be, once again, just taken directly from the Django Quickstart. Just copy that in and then save that. And once that has been copied in, we can go ahead and we can go to our Quickstart urls.py file, and we can replace the file's content with this code that I'm copying in. Once we've finished replacing the file's content, we can actually go ahead and we can create templates to properly format our data. So first what we need to do is we need to create our templates subdirectory inside of the sample mflix directory. So we can just do new folder, and we want it to be templates. So once this subdirectory is created, go ahead and create a new file called recentmovies.html inside of it. So I'm going to once again copy in some code that is taken from our Quickstart. So this is just formatting the movie data requested by the recent movies view. And let me go ahead and create another file. And this one is going to be called viewers list HTML. So this file is going to contain the user data that is requested by our viewers list view. And here we are. So once your templates are in place, we can include our application inside of our project. So how do we do this? Let's go over to the settings.py file nested in the Quickstart directory, and let's find our installed apps. So that's right over here. And right now we have 6 installed apps, and we want to edit it to add one more. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that in. Awesome. So make sure to edit it like this, and then go ahead and save that file. Once this is done, we can go ahead and we can create migrations for our new models. So we want to create migrations for our movie, award, and viewer models and apply all of these changes to the database. So let's make sure that we are back in the root of our project, and I want to run the following commands. Python manage.py, make migrations, sample mflix. Nice. And then Python manage.py, migrate. Cool. Once the migrations are created, we have a basic Django MongoDB Backend application, and we can use the simple application to actually interact with our sample mflix database. So this means running basic CRUD operations on the data. So let's go over how to do that. So let's go ahead and see what's happened inside of our database. We can see that our migrations have actually worked. Perfect. So this is another way to just take a look and see it if you want to see what's going on inside of Atlas and inside of your cluster. Awesome. So let's go over on how to write data. We're going to be working with a Python shell. So make sure that once again, you're just in the project's root directory, and we can bring up the shell with this command, manage.py shell. Once you're in your shell, we can actually import the necessary classes and modules for creating a datetime object. We can do this by just doing from sample mflix models, import movie, award, viewer, and from Django utils, import time zone, and from datetime, import datetime. Now we are ready to insert a movie into our database. And I am going to copy and paste a little bit of movie code to create a movie object that stores data about a movie named Minari, including all of its rewards. So this movie object actually stores incorrect data about the movie. The runtime value is listed as 217, but the correct value is 117. So we can fix this by running these couple of lines. Movie runtime is equal to 117, and then I'm going to do movie save. Now let's insert a viewer into our database as well. We can do this by creating a viewer object that stores data about a viewer named Abigail Carter. So we can run this following code with our new Abigail Carter user. Let's go ahead and delete a viewer object. A movie viewer by the name of Alistair Thorne is no longer a member of the movie streaming service. So to go ahead and remove the viewer, let's run this code. Viewer objects, filter, name is equal to Alistair Thorn first old viewer delete. Once that's done, exit your shell using this command. So just go exit and ensure that we are in the Quickstart directory. And let's start the server using Python manage py run server. Great. So now we can go and make sure that our movies model was correctly inserted into the database. So let me make this a little bit bigger. And I can do this by going recent movies. Great. This is what you'll see with our latest movie right on top. As you can see, Minari is right over there. And now let's go ahead and check out our viewer model as well. So we can go ahead and we can do viewers list. Awesome. And as you can see, there will be a list of 10 viewer names in our database. Abigail Carter will be at the very top, and the viewer, Alistair Thorn, will have been deleted. Once these steps have been completed, documents inside of our sample mflix sample database will have been inserted and edited. So now we can go ahead and we can query the data inside of our database. All right, so let's head back to our VS Code. So let's go ahead and open up our Python shell again. And please make sure that you've imported all of the necessary modules from when you first created the Python shell back under the step write data. So that's right here. Awesome. Once your shell is ready to go, we can actually query our users collection for a specific email. So let's query our sample mflix users collection for a user with the email jasonmomoa@Game of Thrones. You can do this by running the following. From sample mflix models, import movie viewer, and then viewer objects filter with their email. Cool. This will return the name of our user, which is called Drogo. Now let's go ahead and let's query our movies collection for runtime values. In the same shell, we can run this code, movie objects filter runtime less than 10. So this is just finding movies that have a runtime value that is less than 10. This will return a list of matching movies, as we can see right there. Once this step is finished, feel free to run queries on any data that is stored inside of the MongoDB cluster. Now let's go ahead and let's create an admin site. So it is possible to create a Django admin site so that users can edit their data straight from a web interface. Let's first create an admin user. We can do Python manage py create super user. So the terminal will ask for a username, email address, and password. So let's enter the following information to create a user with very specific credentials. So our username, we're just going to do admin. Email is going to be admin@example.com. Password is just going to be admin password. And then password again is just going to be admin password. Nice. So now let's do Python manage py run server. And let's go to our admin page, which is just admin. Nice. So let's go ahead and enter our username and our password that we previously created when we logged in. Cool. Here, the following information is presented, and users can edit their project authentication configuration through selection of the groups or users rows in the authentication and authorization table. So let's edit the data in our user sample collection. Remember that this is represented by our viewer model, which is not associated with the user's row that we see here. So let's go over to back to VS Code, and I want us to head over to the sample mflix admin file. And now I want to go and I'm just going to copy in this little bit of code right here. As you can see, we will have our viewers right over there. Now we are able to select a viewer object. So do this by clicking on the viewers row of the sample mflix table to see the table of viewers, as seen right here. At the top of the list, let's click on Abigail Carter, and then from here we'll be able to see her name and her email. Here we are able to edit the information if we want to, so users can edit any field, and then we can just hit the save button to save all of our changes. Great job! You've just completed the Django MongoDB Quickstart. In this Quickstart, you created a Django application. We connected our Django application to a MongoDB deployment. We ensure that our deployment is hosted on MongoDB Atlas. We interacted with the data that is stored inside of our cluster, and we created a Django admin page. To learn more about Django MongoDB Backend, please visit our docs and our repository on GitHub. If you have any questions, please feel free to connect with us in our MongoDB developer forum. All of this will be linked in the box below. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.